So in this problem, we're asked to, we're talking about purchasing a car, 7.99% APR for 72 months. We want to calculate the payment in two ways. One, using the loan repayment formula, which I've put over here. That's one from the manual. And so let's write down a few components of this and go from there. So our I value, our periodic interest rate, is our 0.0799 divided by 12. That's how much we're paying per month. Now our P is the principal that we're borrowing, so we're borrowing $34,000. Now we don't need to worry about negatives or positives in here. In fact, everything's positive in this equation because we need to ensure that the math works out right. Our calculator works a little bit differently. So n, remember, is n times t. That's the number of times. This is the number of compounds, and this is the number of years. So we're doing this for, well, we're told it's 72 months, so we really know that n is equal to 72. So that's actually, if you figure it out, let's see, that's 6 years. So this is a 6-year loan. And then that's about all we need here. So now we go ahead and plug everything in. So payment equals I, which is 0.0799 divided by 12, times 1 plus 0.0799 divided by 12 raised to the 72nd power over 1 plus 0.0799 divided by 12 to the 72nd power minus 1. So I'll try to enter the bits and pieces of this into the calculator. I'll just do the numerator first to avoid any difficulties with parentheses and making sure we're dividing by the right thing. So 0.0799 divided by 12 times 1 plus 0.0799. Oop, I forgot one thing. In here needs to go 34,000. So I'll put 34,000 in between these two guys. So I'll come back. Just do a second delete, and I will insert a parenthesis, 34, 1, 2, 3 zeros, and there's my balance. So now I can go over and do 1 plus 0.0799 divided by 12 raised to the 72nd power. And that gives me 365.05, and I'll round this a few decimal places farther, 235. We'll just leave it at that. Divided by, so what's my denominator evaluated to be? 1 plus 0.0799 divided by 12 raised to the 72nd power minus 1. And that gives me 0.61254, 1. We'll round it that far. And now we divide these two, 365.05235 divided by 0.612541. And we get a payment of $595. Whoops, $595.96. So that would be our payment. Now, using the TVM solver, we should be able to get the same thing. I'll just confirm that. Part 2. I'll always want to draw time diagrams when we're using the TVM solver, just to kind of as our way of showing work. So 0 to 72, we're going to have a future value of 0. We know, well, we're going to figure out what our payment's going to be, and this just sort of summarizes that. So TVM solver will enter 72 months for the time, 7.99% for the I percent. Present value is 34,000 since that's what we're borrowing. Future value is 0, so we can calculate our payment, and we get $595.96. $595.96. And so they do in fact match up. What will be the total cost of the car? Well, we're going to be paying $595.96 per month times 24 months, 72 months is going to give us $595. Oops, I think I misplaced. This should be $595. So $595.96 times 72, and we get $42,909. So this car is going to run you about $42,909 and 12 cents. $42,000 for a car which was only valued at $34,000. So a lot of interest being paid there. In the next part, part C, we want to know how much interest did the person pay over the loan period. Okay, well, that's just the difference between the principal and interest, 42,909.12. This is P and I, minus the interest portion. Minus the principal portion. We're trying to find the interest portion is 34,000, and the difference there is going to be 8,909.12. So that is a difference of $8,909.12, which has to be the interest. I'll just kind of come back here and clean this up. So quite a bit of interest paid. And finally, we want to know, suppose the car is refinanced after 30 months due to the discovery of a lower interest rate, 5.5% APR for the remaining 42 months. How much lower will the payment be? Okay, so we got to focus on the question. We want to know how much lower will the payment be. So we need to know what the payment is. So the car is going to be refinanced after 30 months. I think I mixed up a few parts here. Gosh, this is not going as well as I thought. C, part 1, and now we're going to do C. No, that was C, and now we're going to do C, part 1. So C, part 1 is answering this question of what happens if we refinance after 30 months. So we basically are here on a 0 to 72 month scale. After 30 months, somewhere here, we decide to refinance. So we know across here we're going to be making a payment of $595.96. Because keep in mind that your payment is calculated on the full term. So even though you refinance after 30 months, initially they don't know that, neither do you, or at least you don't tell them, and you basically get a payment calculated as if you were going to be going for the full 72 months. But now what happens is you find this lower rate, you're able to refinance, and for the remaining 42 months, you're at 5.5%. So here you're at 5.5%. Okay, so now our payment changes, but we need to know, going back to our TVM solver, what's our balance after the 30 months? How much is left? Because we're going to think about this as being sort of a rollover of a borrowing. Whatever balance is here, that's what we're going to begin paying on. So I know if I make this payment for 30 months, I'm going to change this to 30, I can figure out what my future value is. That meaning what I still owe or what the bank owes me. In this case, I still owe $21,772.51. So that's what I still owe after I've paid this for 30 months. Now keep in mind, you cannot just do 34,000 minus 30 times the payment, because keep in mind that this $595.96, part of it goes to paying interest and part of it goes to paying down the 34,000. So not this whole thing doesn't go to reduce the balance. Because if that were the case, 30 times 595.96 is $17,878. So that's more than half of what you borrowed, and you still have 42 months to go. So you pay it off way before then. So keep in mind, you can't just subtract the payment off to figure out what you still owe. You have to let the calculator do some of that work, because interest is compounded on the remaining balance every month. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll just say, all right, let's pretend like this is a brand new loan. We have 42 months in the term. That's from 30 to 72. 5.5% interest. Now our balance is 21,772.51. We're going to calculate the payment, and yes, we still want the balance to be 0 after the remaining 42 months. So our balance will be, or our payment will be, from this block to this block, a little bit less, $571.07. So it's a little bit lower, and the difference, which is what we're interested in, how much lower, is $595.96 minus $571.07. And that difference is, let's see, why don't I just do this in here? It'll be a little bit faster. $595.96 minus $571.07. And the difference is $24.89. So $24.89. And that's how much you save. So it might not be worth refinancing at the lower rate for only 42 months, but then again, it just sort of depends on your goals.